New York yesterday, and it was a nice travel. I gotta say, had a nice way of getting home, and a little bit bumpy for a little while, but got home safe and sound, and that's all that matters. So happy to be here with you. Happy to be hanging out where sports meets that thing called life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we have for you an awesome broadcast with an hour we're spending here to start off the week in hour one with Brendan Murphy and DT and Murphy. DT and Murphy is something that comes to you every single month exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and having the opportunity to speak with Brendan here on the show as always is my pleasure. So we're going to talk about the fields of life, the NFL, as well as Major League Baseball. So we'll get into both of those here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, and then we'll pop in to a few other topics as we go throughout this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with Brendan. Then in hour number two, we're going to hit two mics, no filter, and Andrea Smith is going to rejoin me. We talk about all different life topics, and you know that my tagline for Wake Up Call is where sports meets life. So we got some interesting topics we're going to be discussing with Andrea today. We look forward to you joining us in hour number two. We talk dating, relationships, life, a little bit of everything. So we're going to have some fun with it. And then two mics, no filter has some massive news for you. So there's a reason why Andrea's coming on today, and I can't wait to share that with you. With that being said, Brendan's joining me here in hour number one. And the funny thing about this, Murph, is that what we have going on here today that I'm really excited to share is we talk about the topics that I put on two mics, no filter. And I was thinking about what am I going to talk about today? The topic that I'm bringing up today with Andrea is when your mom refuses to delete all the pictures of your ex-girlfriends, and like when you're helping her with something on her phone and you're going through her phone, like, you know, looking at different stuff and whatnot. And I don't know what put me on the pictures of it, but I was on my mom's phone and she asked me to do something with it because my mom is very protective of her phone. So she gives me her phone and I'm like, why is this girl on here? Why is that on there? And my mom said, give me my phone back. You don't get to take away my memories and whatever. So we're going to talk today in hour number two about when your mom decides to keep all of your ex-girlfriends on her phone.
That's a pretty good one.
So it's definitely, you know, and she said she's going to chime in and give her thoughts on it, but I don't know. I think mom needs to delete it. That's my opinion on it. I think any mom or dad needs to delete those pictures. We need to move forward together. So, speaking of moving forward, Major League Baseball and the NFL, but the Kentucky Derby happened over the weekend, so I know you want to get into that as well as a little bit of the world of hockey. So let's go there. And Greg saying welcome back. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We had a bunch of specials that aired last week on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I did a ton of work as I got set to take a little break, doctor's orders. So we had 8 different broadcasts air this past week, and they're on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage. They're also all on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. They did extremely, extremely well. I want to thank the community for showing up in the morning as you always do, and for all that work that we put in with those special guests. I want to thank you on behalf of them and myself, and you can go back and watch those videos. We had some record-setting days with a lot of them, so definitely make sure you pay attention to that. Greg said, my mother still has photos of my brother's ex-wife hanging in her home. Yeah, my mom had the wedding photo for me for a while, but apparently she finally took it down. So, Murph, we'll talk Derby in a second, but I got to ask you, do mom or dad, do they keep ex-girlfriend mementos and pictures? I have to know now that I've talked about it. Oh, we lost Murph for a second here. We can't hear him. All right.
You know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
My cough button was on.
I can hear you now.
So they do not. So the dating life has been slow for the most part. So they didn't really have much of a chance. They've only met a handful of them, so they really didn't get much of a chance for that. So,
good.
You know,
good for you.
It's been beneficial for me in some aspects.
So that's a good thing though. They should not. I don't know. We'll talk about it in an hour or two. So,
but she does have plenty of embarrassing pictures on her phone that I would rather she delete. But that's okay.
Moms always have the embarrassing pictures, and I didn't have
always.
I didn't have like the naked baby photo of me on the mantle, I had the naked baby video that my mom and dad are like,
Oh God.
yeah, the video, the old VHS of me and my cousin in the bathtub when I was 3. And I don't even know what would make them do it, but they would play it all the time. And I'm like, Ma, no, nobody wants to see this. No one wants to come over and see 3-year-old me in a tub in like Cape Cod. So I do have the baby video, but I digress. Derby, your thoughts?
Yeah, Mage pulled out the Kentucky Derby at the last minute, beating out two Phils. Mage was ridden by a jockey who had never won the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
I believe they said it was but 14 or 15 derbies he's ran horses in and has had never won before. So that's a big shout out to the jockey on that was riding Mage. Obviously it's a really fun thing to watch. Safe to say, my bets didn't do too well. I did not have Mage in any of my boxes or triples, nor did I pick Mage to win. The horse that we were on was Verifying,
Okay.
and Verifying had run a race against Tappet Trice a few weeks ago, and Tappet Trice was the second favorite at the time the race went off. And you were watching Tappet Trice, and we saw that Tappet Trice was running from behind a lot. It would start in the back and then work its way to the front. And at the Derby, that gets a little bit more difficult because of the fact that there's a lot of horses in the Derby. You're talking 17, 18, 19 horses in the Derby. So if you're starting at the back, you got to move around a lot to make it to the front. And Tappet Trice was never able to do that. Verifying got out to the lead early, which is what we were expecting when we were watching back the races of those horses. Because I was fortunate enough to be with my cousin Mike and my uncle Frank over the weekend, so we watched the Derby. They know a lot more about horse racing than I do.
Yeah.
We're gonna go Memorial Day weekend. We're gonna go down to Monmouth Park to the track. I've never done that before. I've talked about doing it for years, but I've never been. So it'll be really cool to do that. But yeah, I mean, we were watching. We got tips on Verifying, so we liked Verifying a lot. A lot of us had some money on Verifying, and then two Phils. My dad, his best friend, his name is Phil, and he had just been talking to him. He was on the phone with him for probably half an hour, 45 minutes. They only talk probably, like maybe once a month, every other month. They'll get together once in a while, but I mean, they grew up as best friends, so. He's the OG Murph, and he'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because Phil calls him that and always has. So for him, he said, you know what? I was on the phone with Phil. There's a horse's name that's two Phils. I'm gonna put some money on two Phils. And damn, was it close. So two Phils had the lead coming into the stretch, and Mage came up, I believe from the outside and overtook two Phils for the win. But it was fun. It really was. And anybody who enjoys, horse racing, and you don't even need to enjoy horse racing, because for me, I basically watch 3 races a year.
Yeah.
The Derby,
Yeah.
Preakness, and Belmont Stakes. So I'm going to start watching a little bit more, just, to enjoy it. My Uncle George will be up too. He loves going to the track. So when we go Memorial Day weekend, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll have to let you know how that goes. But, yeah, so my bets didn't do too hot. I did hear rumblings that some decent amount of people won some money on Mage. So that was a pretty good one. It went off at 15-1. So anybody who had Mage in your bets or in your boxes, good for you. I wish I did.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting talking about this here this morning, because my grandfather used to my Pop Cavino, my grandfather on my mom's side, we would go to off-track betting. We'd go to Adab, because he always called it Adab. My mom still calls it Adab. And we would go out there, and I would go with him and my grandma, or just him. And a lot of times, he would just take me. And there was a horse. So I think the first time I went out, I can't remember the name of the horse, but I might have won on something. I think one time, vaguely remember, because he passed away when I was 6. But then there was another horse that he gives me, he comes over to me with a newspaper, and there's a huge list, tiny print of all these horses. He goes, which one do you like? and he would go bet on the horse for me. And he's like, "Which one do you like, Daniel?" And I'd be sitting there looking, dark room, brown carpet. Just I just remember sitting there at like the bench or whatever, and there was a horse named Daniel, and I picked that horse. He goes, "Do you?" And I pointed to it, and he looked at it, and I said, "That one." And he looked at the newspaper.
How
And
big a long shot?
what'd you say?
How big a long shot was it?
I was so little, I don't know, but I just remember like there's all these names. I looked at Daniel and I said Daniel, and my grandfather's like, of course, and he went and he bet on Daniel. I kid you not, Daniel won multiple races in my life with him there. And when I would win, he would get like, you go get the money, whatever, and then he would grab some money aside, and then there'd be there's like a candy glass thing, and he'd bring me over and he'd buy me gobstoppers and different candies with my winnings. And then one day Daniel wasn't racing, and my grandfather's like, "Who do you want?" And we looked, and there was no Daniel. He looked everywhere because my grandfather would do anything and everything for me, and there was no Daniel. And I just remember sitting there saying, I don't, I don't have anybody. Like that was the only one. But the horse named Daniel, I'll never forget that with my grandfather, and that's probably my fondest memory of horse racing. Was
That's
that?
pretty cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, now, he liked to go, and my grandmother and him like to go and watch and bet on different things and whatnot. But so I think for me, I would like to do more of it, maybe see more of it, and I know Papa Joe gets into it as well because he used to run some stuff up here in central and upstate New York. Greg said, "Wish Forte could have ran Saturday. First time win for
Hmm.
Mage's trainer. Hopefully Mage runs the Preakness in 2 weeks." And so, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
That's the hope,
Yeah, well,
because any horse racing fans know that after whoever wins the Kentucky Derby, we want to see them run the Preakness and Belmont and be the favorite. A couple of years ago, you remember, I forget what horse won and which one that got disqualified, but there was a horse that got disqualified, so it was like a 75-1 shot that won the race by default or via disqualification of the front horse because they bumped the horse that won or the horse that came in second. And that horse did not run the Preakness, which was surprising because, you just won the Kentucky Derby. Why wouldn't you run the Preakness? But in my head, I'm thinking, he's like a 75-1 shot in the Derby. Now all of a sudden he's going to be the favorite in the Preakness, and like, whoa,
yeah.
Preakness is a different animal. You got the Derby and Belmont
Yeah.
are pretty similar races. Belmont a little bit longer, but the Preakness is a completely different animal. It's a little shorter. There's less horses in the field, and it's one of those things where at that track, and Farrow won it back in 2015. How excited! And I can't for the life of me remember the announcer's name that does all the races for the horse racing, because he does a phenomenal job. That's what I love about him. He's so into it.
Yeah.
Like you have those certain announcers in certain sports that are so into it, and he's one of them. And I wish I could remember his name to save my life, but it'll come to me at some point. But I remember in his voice when American Pharoah won the Triple Crown and how excited he was
Yeah.
that a horse had finally won the Triple Crown and he got to call it. And it was the first time in 40 years that a horse has won the Triple Crown, which was pretty darn cool. But I also found out that this year was the 50th anniversary of Secretariat, and Secretariat winning
That's
the Triple Crown by a country mile, as they'll say.
That's crazy.
And I think there's a very strong argument to be made. I remember watching a simulated race between all the Triple Crown winners
Yeah.
and Secretariat. And who do you think won? Secretariat, naturally.
Yeah. Of course. And I mean that's the history of Secretary. I mean, listen. I mean, you make a movie about it. There's something to be said when you share that story with so many people that don't know horse racing, and people can get around it and connect with it. But the Kentucky Derby, it's something that it kind of brings people out in a unique way, like the Olympics, right? Where
Yeah.
if people aren't typically a fan of watching horse racing, but the Kentucky Derby comes around and people dress up, they put on their big hats, they either go to the Derby or they have a party, they'll go out somewhere to have a party, or they'll have people at the house. It's a big old get together. And I mean, I know people here in central and upstate New York that did it. So it's something that is kind of to me like the Olympics, the uniqueness of, I'm not going to watch this all year long, but for this time period, I'm going to dress up. I'm going to have some unique drinks, make a cool menu. Everybody's going to be around the house watching it. It kind of has like a Great Gatsby feel to it on how some people dress and whatnot. So it's
Hmm.
cool. I mean, it's an event every year, and it's an event that people celebrate satellite wise, like remotely, and then at the same time on site, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
You got surprises for us. Let's see them.
All right. So I was teasing Dan with it last night, and I didn't want to show him beforehand, so I'm gonna show him. I'm gonna show everybody
I have
all at
no idea.
once, so he has no idea what I got. It's now on Saturday I was with my cousin Mike at this sports cards and collectibles show out in New Jersey at
Which I would
Sportica
have
in
went to
Manalapan.
if I wasn't in Florida, by the way.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So it's this. Well, first of all, the place that this was at in Manalapan, Sportica,
Yeah.
it's well. First of all, it's got an entire turf soccer field that they can divide up into quarters, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
You have basketball courts upstairs. You have batting cages down below. It's basically like the old Pocono Dome around where I live, which unfortunately shut down and is now a, oh God, who bought that? Who bought that building? It's some church that bought the building. Why, I don't know. But it's enormous. And they had us, set out onto the turf, which was pretty cool. 170 vendors. So I sold some stuff. My cousin sold some stuff. I was doing mostly like sports cards and stuff. He was doing like pops and comic books and stuff like that. But my Whoop is vibrating and it won't turn off. There it is. So when it sets an alarm
Yeah.
on the Whoop to wake you up,
Yeah.
and so obviously I was up before my alarm. You're supposed to double tap it to get it to shut off.
Yeah.
I can never figure out the right way to do it. Sometimes it goes off right away, sometimes it doesn't. But we're going to start out with the small one.
Okay.
Now, this is actually a really cool piece, and it is a salute to service helmet. It's a Jets helmet, and
Okay.
it is signed by Sauce Gardner. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, I like that.
It
It's
caught-
funny.
It caught, yeah.
I think I just saw somebody recently that had the salute to service Jets. I have Jaguars. I have a Jaguars hoodie salute to service that you can like pull the
Mhm.
patch up and it says something else under it. But I love the salute to service things, and my family is very connected to the military, so I
Yep.
love that. So
It's gonna
that's
sit right there on the desk.
Sauce
That's
Gardner.
the little one.
Okay, so sauce is on that. Can I ask price range on the sauce?
You can.
Yeah.
I want to see. I want to give you the chance to guess before I tell you what it was.
All right. So Sauce Gardner, fourth overall pick, had himself a nice season, did well at Cincinnati. You're at a show with collectibles and whatnot. So I'm gonna say, and the show is in Jersey. So, I'm gonna say you got it for less than the value of it, and what I would value it at, or where I think it's heading, is like $400 or $500. So let me say you got it for like between 150 and one. Let me see here. I'm gonna say that you got it for under 200, 190.
I did get it for less than 200.
Okay.
It was originally priced at 200.
Okay.
The guy had told me earlier in the day he'd bring it down to 150, and I got him down to 140.
There we go. Yes,
I got it for 140.
I was somewhere between 150 and 200, but I thought that one.
I would love it if it goes up to 400 or 500. That'd be sweet.
Oh, I think that it will, but I'm. But
that one was an investment. I will say that.
But I said, what did I say? 190 under 200. You got it
Mm-hmm.
for, and he had it at 200. So there you go.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly. So,
140. I like that's anything.
yep.
Anything to me that was under 200 bucks in that 100 to 150 range, like 150 bucks. That's a steal for you because that's only going to go up, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. And realistically, if sauce is just as good this year, I could probably sell that next year for 250, 300 easy.
Yeah, I think it's going to go up.
But
I think you find the right
yeah.
Jets fan, or you find the right
Mm-hmm.
Sauce fan. That mark my words, that's a $400 or $500 helmet eventually.
And fingers crossed. So there are some other things I bought that were investments. You know what? I wasn't going to show them, but I'll show them. So give me a second. Let me go grab them.
All right. It's funny here as Brendan does this that like right in my desk in the studio, I have all these cards that sit under here that nobody can see, but these are things that I gotta put these on. I gotta put these on eBay or something. Yeah. I gotta start selling. So I got Saquon Barkley rookie cards and all this. I got all these jersey cards sitting here. Like, you don't know this, Brendan, but literally sitting right beneath me. Look at this. Just stacks on stacks of stuff that's just sitting here. And you'd be proud of me because I got a bunch of baseball stuff here, too.
There you go.
All right, I got some graded cards right here.
There you go.
What do you got for me? Show me. Oh, geez.
So I'm going to start you off with the one thing I went there to buy.
Okay.
I had every intention on leaving with this thing.
Okay.
And oddly enough, I was going to go around looking for it, and I turned to my left. So we were on an end, and the dealer that was on the corner.
Yeah.
I turn around. So they like send out cards like Beckett and PSA to get graded. I should probably bring the mic back in here. But so they send out cards to Beckett and PSA to get graded. So I turn around. Sure enough,
yeah,
1969 Nolan Ryan is staring me in the face. So that would be this one right there.
Yeah.
1969 Nolan Ryan. Oh. So if you couldn't tell by this book, this is the entire 1969 New York Mets. It's not finished. I got a few more cards to get, but the Nolan Ryan was the big fish that I needed.
Yeah.
Paid what I felt was a pretty reasonable price for it. So that was, I think it was $240. He had it priced at $275. I got him down to $240. So that was nice. And then the other stuff I bought as investments. These ones are cards. I'll start you off with this one. So this is a Spencer Strider rookie auto.
Nice.
Got it for $80, and I can only see this going up because of how good he's been pitching this year. And it's an autograph. So I like this a lot. And apparently it has there's not a whole lot of nines out there with this card, which is pretty cool. And then I did 2 Julio Rodriguez Bowman draft. One's a Bowman Chrome, one's a Bowman.
Yeah.
These are both in a PSA 9. Again, I expect these to go up. So I got these 2 cards with these 2. So Fernando Tatis, Topps Update rookie from 2019 in a 10. So this baby is pretty darn sweet. And then a 2019 Vlad Guerrero Jr. rookie.
Nice.
That is also PSA 10. So these 4 cards I got for $110. I'm hoping I could probably sell the 4 of them for about $50 a piece in the near future. So that'll be pretty nice.
Yeah.
But I've been saving the best for last, and it's not the best thing I bought, but it's definitely my favorite thing that I bought.
All right, hold on. I gotta get us ready for it. Before you bring it out, let me get it. I have to have it come out the right way. All right, do it.
All right, ready?
Yes, we drum rolled it. I'm ready.
All right, look at this bad boy.
Is. There's that Gator helmet.
So, any guesses on who you think signed it? And no, it is not Tim Tebow. I will start you with that.
Go Gators. Anthony Richardson.
Not a bad guess, but no.
Okay. Give me time.
Little more. 2020.
2020. Okay.
There's 2 based on what you know about me and that team. There's two guys it could be.
Okay. 2020.
More obvious than the other.
What's that guy? Let me think. Oh my goodness. On a Monday morning, I'm trying to figure this out. Okay. Oh boy. First round pick.
I wonder if anybody in the comments can guess who it is.
It's not the guy that I'm thinking of because I don't think he was a first rounder. Okay.
You're probably thinking of the other one of the other guy.
Oh, Kadarius Toney?
Really good guess, but it's not Kadarius Toney.
Damn it. Okay. All right. It's not him.
You were very much on the right track, though, sir.
Okay. So I'm on the right track with Kadarius Toney. It's not
earlier pick than that.
It's not Elam, is it?
One of the freaks to come out of the 2020 draft.
Okay. Oh, Kyle Pitts.
Yes, sir.
Kyle Pitts.
Now, do you want to take a guess how much I paid for this?
Oh, Kyle Pitts Gator jersey. Guy's a friggin' beast. I'm gonna say you paid under 500 somewhere in the 4 range. Somewhere. No, wait. I was going to say 480, but I think you got it down. Let me say it's somewhere between 350 and 400.
Not even close.
Really? Is it higher?
Lower,
damn. Okay. And that's a full-on helmet. Okay.
It's a full-size helmet.
So I'm going to say 220.
I have worn it. I took the thing out of the middle.
Right,
guilty as charged.
I'm going to say 220. 220.
Keep going down.
Oh my good lord, 175.
Keep going.
What was it?
$100.
What? Can I talk to this person?
So it was $100 is what I got it for.
That's what I got. That's what I got my Moose Johnston multi-time Super Bowl champion Syracuse helmet here for. Yes.
Let me go put this in its spot real quick.
But that was from my buddy. That is from fellow Marywood alum AJ McInnes that gave that to me for $100 as opposed to putting it on eBay and getting more money for it. So he probably should have gotten.
Baby looks good, huh?
He should have gotten way more for that. Yeah, that looks special. Right under Tebow.
Oh, 100%. Right underneath Tebow. It's perfect.
Kyle.
And I don't know if you guys can't tell, this Tebow jersey is signed. He did it in black Sharpie instead of silver, which was unfortunate, but I was handing him my silver Sharpie. He did it in black. I'm not going to argue with it because it's still signed. But it's very hard to see. So anybody that's asked me about that, it's signed, but it's really hard to see. So I was walking around, did at one point. I didn't really went around the first time.
Yeah.
So the second time I go around, when I got back, I told my cousin Mike, listen, there was somebody over there with a Gators helmet. I want to go see who signed it. Maybe how much they want for it.
Yeah.
So I asked him. They said it's Kyle Pitts. I'm like, okay, I really like Kyle Pitts. He's one of my favorites from that team. Had a Beckett cert. Double checked it to make sure it was Kyle Pitts, and it was.
Yeah.
So then I asked how much he wanted for it. He said $100. I'm like,
that's
okay, here you go.
That's ridiculous.
Gimme, come on.
That's ridiculous.
When I told my cousin how much it cost me, he's like, you got that for $100?
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I would have bought that too.
I would have bought 4 of them. My lord, cheapers Christmas.
Yeah. But there were some people that had some helmets there. There was some cool stuff there. There really was. There was a lot of people that have gotten into like Brett Beatty, Anthony Volpe.
Yeah.
A lot of people want Trout, Ohtani. But like some of the cards that I got were good. I got I bought some cards on eBay between then and now as investments. I got I think a PSA 10 Pete Alonso. I got I think a Beatty 10 in there as well. Trying to make a little bit of money on them. I might start doing this again on the side. So I don't know. We'll see. But I definitely wanted to show you that live on air. So that was pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. And
I'm glad I saved it.
Yeah, and I want to thank the roster that I had to look up because my brain was like, who would it be? But yeah, Kyle Pitts, high draft pick.
So the other name, the name that I would have said would have been the obvious choice, right?
On that team?
Yeah.
Well, I said
there were 2 guys, and one of them should be an obvious choice.
I said Pitts and I said Toney. So
Trask would have been the other one.
Kyle Trask. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Yeah, that makes sense. In the
I would have bought that helmet even if it was Kadarius Toney. I would have bought that helmet. If it was Kyle Trask, I really would have bought that helmet.
yeah.
Um, only guy I would not have bought the helmet if it was signed by would have been the dude that threw the shoe, Marco Wilson.
Okay.
I would never buy that one.
Okay. Yeah. No, there's yeah. I mean, when I go to places, because I have some signed helmets and different stuff that's all around the studio here. This is one of my favorites. So what I love about mini helmets, and here's the thing, they're typically when I've gone to buy a mini helmet, it's been overpriced, and it's and not signed, just in general they've been overpriced. So
Oh yeah.
so I you know
When I told my mom how much I paid for it, how much I paid for that helmet, she's like, the helmet itself is probably like
yeah.
70, $80. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Well, there's people that have like these mini.
I basically got it for free.
No, but there's.
I got to get a case for it though. It's not just going to sit there. One of these days, I got to go to get a nice case for it.
Well, the mini helmet world, you'll see. Like I'll go and I want to buy one, not autographed. I just want to buy a mini helmet, and it'll be like $60, $70, or something ridiculous like that, and I don't want to pay for it. Well, this one I think I got this for like $20 or 20 something bucks. It's not signed, but it's a Jaguars helmet, and it's that like shiny, beautiful teal. And to me, it's like I just want
with the gold on the face mask. That's pretty sweet.
yeah. So the gold and teal, and I love it. So and it sits right here. The cool thing that I have though is so you see this mini helmet. And you got like the new Jaguar logo and all that. And then, see, there's a Jaguar section that's not on my screen. But how cool is this? Because these sit like bookends staring at each other. So there's that new one. And then there's the old Jaguars helmet that I have too.
Oh, that's from like the 90s, right?
Yeah, this is from... So like when they first did the logo and they got in trouble with like the Jaguar car company, I believe. So you look at this... And like they literally in my studio they sit like that to each other.
That's sweet.
So yeah, I love this stuff. But yeah, these and it's look at it. this is it's a helmet's helmet. It's got everything on it. It comes with like another like mouthpiece thing and stuff too. So but I love this stuff. So yeah, I have a little Jaguars section off screen. I have a Fred Taylor autographed picture in a frame, and then I have like Jaguars footballs and all different types of things. But yeah, in the studio, and like you said, you wanted to move some stuff around. Everything has meaning that's in here, and
mine too.
And but I want to I'm still trying to figure out how to panoramic this thing so people can see more of it all the time here in the studio. But my dad got me this when he was on vacation. It's a drawn mask here. It's like a little tiki thing or whatever. But my dad got this when he was on vacation, and they had like all the teams, and I think that's a pretty darn good Jaguar logo that this person put together. And then off screen too, I don't know if you could see this. Let me pick it up and show it to you. So if you look off screen right there, that is a Jacksonville Jaguars flag that was made on wood pallets that somebody personally made for me just because. So
that's really cool.
Yeah. So I try to not only have my stuff but have it be very unique and purposeful. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick step aside. Murph and I are here with you until 10 o'clock. We got to jump to Major League Baseball and the NFL. Two teams that played each other in a series this last couple days are going to be playing in South Korea coming up soon. We'll talk about it right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Stay with us.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of this fantastic week of broadcast that we have here for you. So happy to be here with you where sports meets that thing called life. DT and Murphy starting off the week with you, myself and Brendan Murphy, speaking on the topics inside Major League Baseball and the NFL, as well as show and tell this morning from Murph with an awesome Kyle Pitts signed full-on scale helmet there of the Florida Gators time period that he was there, and a Jets signed mini helmet by Sauce Gardner, as well as a bunch of cards, PSA 10s, which hard to find when you get a 10 out of 10. So a lot of good stuff. I expect nothing less from the wheeler and dealer of Murph. He's like a mini Papa Joe to me. They're always wheeling and dealing out there doing their thing. So with that being said, Murph, let's jump into Major League Baseball. There's been a series most recently here where the Padres took on the Dodgers, and the Dodgers took that series 2-1. Now those teams are expected to open 2024 in South Korea. A pair of games in South Korea, not North Korea, because obvious reasons. So they will be playing in South Korea, and the games will be the first Major League Baseball games played in South Korea. Will mark the 8th time since 1999 that Major League Baseball has played its first regular season games outside of the United States or Canada. So 8th time since 1999. Long time here. Not a lot of times we're seeing this happen. Now, it's pretty cool to see this coming up, and definitely excited to see that. And MLB played season openers in Monterrey, Mexico in 99, Tokyo in 2000, 2004, 8, 12, and 19, and Sydney, Australia in 2014. Now 4 games being played outside the United States or Canada this year. Padres sweeping a pair against the Giants in Mexico City, and the Chicago Cubs and St. Louis Cardinals set to play twice in London this June. Your thoughts, Murph, on taking the game in Major League Baseball to other parts, including starting the season in South Korea?
It's going to be pretty cool. You know, South Korea is a place where obviously Major League Baseball has never played a game before.
Yeah.
We see a lot of games over in Tokyo. We see games in, more recently, we've been seeing the Mexico series down in Monterrey or Mexico City. We got the London series that's been coming around the last couple of years. I'm glad that we've got the Field of Dreams game. That's a really cool thing. And, you know, that's going to be a thing, I think, almost every year, which is going to be really cool. You know, you got the Little League World Series Classic out in Williamsport. That's really cool. But baseball has become a global game, and it really is. And
yeah,
people don't as much understand that, because if you go down to the Caribbean, and I'd love to see them play some series down in maybe the Dominican Republic or in Puerto Rico, but South Korea is a place that's probably a market that is very untapped in Major League Baseball. Now, there's a handful of South Korean players. So long as he's still with the team, Ha-Sung Kim will be going home to play this series in in South Korea.
Yes.
Did they say where in South Korea, or is it going to be in Seoul?
I don't know.
That would make the most sense.
Let me see.
But either way,
I don't know if it's specified, but let me see here.
Yeah,
Could open in South Korea.
my guess would be Seoul, but either way, I mean, Ha-Sung Kim is a player from over in South Korea. Yunjin Ryu came from over there as well.
Yeah.
There's quite a few players that have come from South Korea, and I think it's going to be a really cool time for Major League Baseball. Maybe attracts some younger people in South Korea to Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Now, obviously,
it's going to be played in Seoul.
15 hours ahead of us in
said
Seoul. That makes sense. That would make sense.
It says in Seoul in late March and be the first games of the season next season.
Yeah, but that'll be really cool, especially with the Dodgers being, the premier team in baseball for the last 10, 12 years. And then you've got the San Diego Padres, who have a South Korean-born player of their own. So long as he's still with the team next year, I think that'd be a really cool thing. And you remember in 2019, Ichiro with the Mariners specifically made sure he played in those 2 games in Tokyo because he knew damn well that they were playing over there.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make sure that he was a part of those games.
Oh, yeah.
So he played in those 2 games that were over in Tokyo. Then he retired, pushed his Hall of Fame candidacy back 1 year. But now that means this coming year he's going to be on the ballot, which is going to be pretty darn cool.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that for sure. And, it's good to see the game traveling around. The Jacksonville Jaguars on the football side of things, I mean, they've been the team that's gone over to London, to the United Kingdom, more than any other team in the NFL. And so, I've gotten used to the fact that they're going to be over there and seeing those opportunities, but I think it's great. I think you build a connection and you build a fan base, and it's just some people, you're giving up a home game and whatnot, but at the same time, when it comes to Jacksonville, I mean, they have that history. There's these teams that rotate in and out, but Jacksonville has had this consistent history of going to the United Kingdom, which I think is pretty cool and pretty interesting, and it builds you as a worldwide brand and not just a brand in certain parts. So listen, I'm all for it. You know me, I'm all about expansion and going out there. I'm used to being in airports. I was in one yesterday, and there's something that fuels me about having my buds in, having my backpack on, and walking through an airport, because I walk with purpose and I have a lot of things I want to accomplish in my life. So I appreciate it and I respect it. One thing I do want to say here about the standings, there's one team in baseball of 30 Major League Baseball franchises that has single-digit losses, and that's the Tampa Bay Rays, the only team with 30-plus games of all 30 franchises this season to have less than 10 losses, 28-7 at the time that we're speaking, Murph. How good are these Rays?
Very. And I think that's more, if you're looking up and down this lineup, you're thinking, well, there's not really a whole lot of guys I know on that team. Well, there are plenty. They did just lose Jeffrey Springs to Tommy John surgery, and he had a dominant start to the year. He was really good last year. But the Rays, for many, many years specifically, they are going out and finding these guys out of nowhere. And they're able to identify talent, develop them, get them to the big league level, and they have success. And it happens all the time. All the time. Randy Rosarena is having himself a great start to the year. I mean, it's a baseball team right now that if you look up and down their roster, they are absolutely outstanding. So I mean, if I go, actually, no, wait. Where's the Rays? I want standings. There they are. So if you look up and down this roster, Wander Franco's had a good start to the year, hitting just under 300. Rosarena's hitting over 325. Yandy Diaz, 325. I don't want to say he's played sparingly, but a little more sparingly than the other guys have. But a lot of these guys, you go up and down this lineup, you're like Harold Ramirez, Josh Lowe, Brandon Lau. Some of you out there might be like, who? But the thing with this team is they pitch well, they hit well, they do a lot of things well. Shane McClanahan has been dominant to start the year. He's got just over 2 ERA, striking out 11.5 per 9. Drew Rasmussen has been pretty solid, and he's a guy that was a converted reliever and who's now is a starting pitcher and pitching well. There's a lot of guys on this roster that are really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good players, and not many people know about him. But Wander Franco's a guy, and he's a guy that was a top prospect for years. And he finally is having his coming out party this year. I think it just took him a couple of years to get there. One of those cards I did buy on eBay was a Wander Franco rookie PSA 10. So maybe if he continues to have a good year, maybe that'll go up in value. So that'll be nice. But so that's a very, very good baseball team. And don't sleep on the Pittsburgh Pirates either. Now, they're a team that I expect to kind of regress and maybe come back down to reality a little bit, and they have a little bit. I mean, they just got swept by the Rays and the Blue Jays, so they just lost 6 in a row. But as we go in and look at their team as a whole, Brian Hayes is hitting well. Brian Reynolds, who just got his fresh new contract, has been hitting well. Carlos Santana, Andrew McCutcheon's found a new gear. Connor Joe was a nice pickup for them from the Rockies this offseason's hitting well. Their pitching staff's throwing well. They got a bunch of names that are older that you may not have heard of, but they're getting the job done. Like Vince Velasquez is pitching well. Mitch Keller, former top prospect, has been pitching well for them. But then you got guys like Rich Hill and Yohan Oviedo. Oviedo really has had one bad start, and that's basically been his season. But a lot of guys on that team that are good. Now they're starting to come back down to earth. Like I said, they lost 6 in a row.
Yeah.
But definitely a team to pay attention to. They could easily squeak into that wild card conversation at the end of the year.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to watch, a lot of things to be throughout the year. Onto the field side of the NFL quick here before we finish up DT and Murphy. For this week, we're looking at a few things that have gone on, and I do want to make some notes here. A big shout out to former Syracuse and Illinois quarterback Tommy DeVito, who is a Jersey native who's staying in Jersey, signing with the New York Giants after the draft. And Pittsburgh running back Israel Abanikanda has signed with the Jets. So I'm happy that he's going to be out there. I'm excited to see what he could do, and if the Jets do intend to keep him, I think he should be kept on there. He could be a little silent weapon for them. And Aaron Rodgers has Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb in the same shade of green, just on a different team, going from the Packers to the Jets in that forest green color. So the last thing that I want to hit on here, Jim Irsay and the Colts are making a statement here that you cannot talk to Andrew Luck. He is technically still under contract with the Colts, and if he were to ever come back to the NFL, they would still own his rights. Now, they said there's a vagueness to the ruling on what is tampering, but there is this literature in the policy. It says, quote, any public or private statement of interest, qualified or unqualified, in another club's player to that player's agent or representative or to a member of the news media is a violation. So I'm going to read that again because I think this is pretty insane because it's very broad. Any public or private statement of interest. So if you're having a meeting privately, not in public, talking to the wrong person, I guess, qualified or unqualified. So you make a statement, public or private, qualified statement or unqualified. So I could just be BSing with Brendan here. Brendan is connected in some way to the, let's say he's in the news media with Indianapolis, and I just am having a drink with him at a bar somewhere, and I say, so what about Andrew Luck? Do you think he'd have any interest playing for my Jaguars, perchance? That could result in a violation here of tampering. So what are your thoughts on this? Jim Irsay, who we know is not ashamed of coming out publicly and making statements where we hear a bunch of, guys kind of keep to themselves, the men you don't know the name of because they don't say anything. Well, Jim Irsay has had no problem coming out and speaking to the media. But he just told everybody Andrew Luck still belongs to us, so know your role. What are your thoughts on this, and your thoughts on the fact of the policy statement, if it's public or private, qualified or unqualified, to a representative or an agent makes sense, but to anybody of the news media as well, that if you do any of that, it could be considered tampering?
It's interesting, to say the least. You look at what Andrew Luck did in his career, and he was a very accomplished player who retired at 29 years old.
Yeah.
He cited the the concussions is a big reason for why he retired, and that's understandable. He's a Stanford guy. He's smart, so he understands what kind of toll football can take on you. And he seemed like he enjoyed it for his career, and now he's doing a little bit. He's getting his feet wet in the media world a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's great to see for him. I think he's enjoying himself, staying involved in the game. I don't think he would ever come out of retirement at this point. I mean, we're already 3.5, 4 years removed from when he retired.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any way he would come out of retirement. However, what the Commanders did, I don't know. I get why they had to change the name, and it's the same in baseball with the Guardians and the Indians. Like, people are still gonna call them what they were.
Well, and so the people that lose your mind when somebody says it wrong and you're triggered. Number one, first and foremost, I'm gonna be clear about this word. The word triggered should be thrown out of the English language. If I hear one more person say it, I'm gonna lose my mind. So triggered, goodbye. And let's be real. It's not anybody doing anything of any type of trigger or prejudice when you have the slip of saying the old name, because when you hear a name a billion times, my head grew up with the Cleveland Indian logo and it said Cleveland Indians. So in my head, so in my head it's Cleveland Indian, Cleveland Indian, Cleveland Indian. Then you got to say Guardian. God forbid you slip. People are like, I can't believe that you would say such a thing. And it's like, that's what it was. It's like if the Jets, and I know it's different, but I mean, if a team changes their name, it would be the same if the Jets used to be called the Rodeo Clowns. You're going to think Rodeo Clown, Rodeo Clown, Rodeo Clown. Oh, crap, they're the Jets now. So to me, it's really hard to remember. I mean, yeah, in my world, Cleveland Guardians, it's my job to know Guardians. It's my job to know Commanders. But a lot of people say it, and Joe Theismann said it himself on my show live. He said, Dan, I won a Super Bowl as a Redskin. Am I a Redskin or am I a Commander? I said, Joe, you're a Redskin. I mean, that's what your jersey said. That's what the history says. You weren't a Commander back then. So, I mean, listen, I think a lot of people, because I think somebody slipped on like SportsCenter and people were like, oh, you got to fire him. Obviously he meant it. And I was like, no, he probably has said Indian for 27 years. And now he has to, flip and change that. So I just want to tell people to stop being so friggin' touchy and to get rid of the word triggered. I totally understand changing the name. I totally understand the meaning around it. And I understand the fact that calling something a Redskin is disrespectful. I totally, 100,000,000% get that. But if somebody, God forbid, slips on something that has been said in history for so many years, come on. I mean, some people just make an honest mistake, and apparently you can't make mistakes anymore. So, that's just the weird world. What do we get here? Thoughts on the Oakland A's broadcaster this weekend?
I'm gonna have to look. I saw it, I think, on Sunday that he was getting suspended.
Yeah, that there was.
But I'm not sure what he said.
Yeah, there was a racial slur said on air. And so he got suspended. Let's see. Now, the Oakland Athletics had made a statement as well. And, yeah, I mean, now, I want to get the exact thing here for everybody. But, so broadcaster was suspended while describing a trip to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And
probably seems like he might have misspoke.
Yeah, so he talked about a trip to the museum with colleague, seemingly mispronounced the word Negro. So, yeah, okay.
It's close, so you can kind of understand that, but at the same time, like, if you're gonna talk about that, and you know that going in maybe using the hard R is a kind of frowned upon, which absolutely it is. You should make sure you say Negro, the Negro Leagues Museum.
Well,
and make sure you say it right.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think I think that that's been a polarizing word, and conversation for another day. There's many words that people call Italians that are all considered our version of calling us the N-word. and people say them so freely in society, and they're like, what? It's not important. And I'm like, no, it actually is. There's a Spanish terminology of a word that's like calling me the N-word, and I don't appreciate the word. It's a 4-letter word, and I heard somebody say it on Marywood's campus, not knowing. No, I'm sorry. Somebody said it that had gone to Marywood, and then somebody else had said something else, but they didn't know that I was Hispanic, and then they apologized. I was like, don't apologize for how you feel. You just didn't know the company you keep. So, I mean, yeah, I think if you're going to be talking about something, and again, this world is very touchy, and people don't understand. People slip. You know, when you speak for a living,
it happens.
People do slip. I'm not defending Glenn because I don't know his thought
process.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying in general, I slip. You know, you could say words back. I mean, I could slip on the word treat and say trat because I'm speaking fast. You know what I mean? So I think there are moments where people kind of slip or make honest mistakes, and you kind of have to move forward from it. I mean, there was one time where my mom said, she's like, you got going on something, and I felt like you were going to say the F word, and I don't say it. And, you know, I don't say it on the broadcast, but I was talking about something, and, you know, I guess it sounded like I was gonna. I didn't think I was going to. But, I mean, that stuff happens. So, ultimately, like I said, I can't speak for this person, and I just understand that, and you and I know this as broadcasters, there are times where you jumble your words, you combine your words. So I'm saying from my point of view, I have had moments where I've tripped up a word, but yeah, if you're saying anything about the Negro Leagues or anything of that respect, I would suggest that you say it correctly.
Yeah, agreed.
So with that being said, Murph and I, from the Derby to show and tell to baseball to football back to baseball, this has been DT and Murphy. Again, it takes 5 seconds and it's already done. So Murph, as always, I appreciate you. Runs by way too quick, but love having you on as always, and I look forward to catching up with you very soon.
Great to be back on the show, Dan, and appreciate it. And real quick, let's go Devils.
There you go. I like that. We'll talk soon. Dan Tortora, DT, and Murph meets that thing called life. When we spin back around, we will be joined by Andrea Smith, who's going to join me for 2 mics, no filter, and that will be here with us in hour number 2 of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that to you. You're not going to want to miss it, and you're going to want to hear it live. So, a lot of great stuff coming up with Andrea here on 2 mics, no filter. Cannot wait to. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they're always here for you.
This is Jim Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're active actively engaged in their community. They're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if they don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you being here for a very special Two Mics No Filter. And in today's Two Mics No Filter, you want to stay tuned all the way until the end because something big is coming, and I'm very much looking forward to releasing that live with my co-host, who is here with me, picture in picture, Miss Andrea Smith. So, Andrea, how are you?
Hey, Dan, how are you?
I'm doing very well. It's been a minute. You and I had a couple weeks since the last time we talked. So, how's life been since then?
You know, we have our topics are so deep that we have to take a two weeks off. Before we can we have to let the dating life kind of get back in so we can have a lot of great things. Life's been good. I've been traveling a lot. How about you?
Yeah, you know that, and it's been the same. Actually, yesterday, I texted Andrea and she said, I'm just leaving the airport, and I said, I'm going into the airport. So as you were coming out, I was going in.
I honestly, had I probably waited around 5 minutes, I might have seen you.
Yeah, you might have bumped into me at the airport.
Not a big airport. Yeah, I know. So funny.
Yeah, so I was flying out, and I had to change airlines yesterday because I don't know, there was some stuff that happened with one airline, and they had flights that were getting like booked here, there, and everywhere. So then I had to go to a different terminal, but it got figured out. I got a direct flight home, and that's all that matters. So while I was at the airport, I had a conversation with my mom. And I said, Mom, you know what I'm going to talk about on Two Mics No Filter? It's going to be this thing that you do that I genuinely don't understand. And it has to do with all of my ex-girlfriends. So I am more than happy to share, and Andrea doesn't know this, so I get to see her face respond in the moment like you all do around the world. My mom has this thing that she has chosen to do over the years. And as I'm in the airport and I was walking toward the Universal Studios store because they have awesome Marvel stuff, I'm walking there and I said, Mom, why do you do this? And the thing that she does is this. She keeps all of my ex-girlfriend's pictures on her phone. Pictures that you send her, pictures of me and the exes. And I said to my mom, I don't know, she asked me to do something on her phone, and I saw like a couple of them or something. And I said, Ma, why do you have these pictures? She grabbed her phone. She said, do not delete them. You don't have the right to take away my stuff. That's my history. I'm keeping it. So my mom has like every ex-girlfriend or almost every ex-girlfriend I dated. And I thought it was a perfect topic today to not tell you until this moment. Why do some parents and family members keep pictures and memories of your exes, especially the ones that were not great, is what I'll say.
So I actually have a lot to say on this topic. This is a good topic because I find myself to be maybe the one that got away for some
Okay.
could have been mother-in-laws. So I have a lot to say on this. However, let me say this first before I get to that.
Yeah.
I don't know why, if they were people that maybe the mom didn't like, that she would keep them. Like, that's probably something a little weird, I feel like, except for the fact that maybe it's because of you, like seeing you at those stages of your life. Like, it's like that memory of you at that age. Because, like, for a while, like for the longest time, till really recently, and maybe even now, my parents had my prom picture, like in a display case thing. And my now husband would always like make jokes. He'd come over, he's like, oh, like, why does your, whatever. But it wasn't about the guy, it was about me at prom. Now, since then, I do think my mom has changed it to like the single photo that they take of prom, like your singular photo.
Yeah.
So I do think it's changed to that. But I will say, I think it might be different for guys. And any women listeners, you'll have to weigh in on the chat, because I could be wrong here, but I'm thinking it may be different for guys' parents. Because I think when a guy is bad to a girl in a breakup, there's some level of like protection from the parents that comes in, right? It's like, this guy's horrible, whatever. Like, my parents definitely aren't attached to any of my ex-boyfriends by any means. If anything, it's me talking about how wonderful they're doing in their life, so that maybe I can give them some redemption later in life. You know what I mean? For what they did in the early 20s.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's that way around. But I will tell you, I mean, I definitely have ex's mothers who I'm very close to still to this day. One of which was at my wedding. I mean, I am so close to her. Like, I send her pictures of my children. Like, she feels like she's close, at least from afar, to my kids. And like, you know what I mean? Like, she's been at all my major life happenings.
Yeah.
But I think you have to remember, when you date somebody for a long time, your parents, your family is very connected to them.
Yeah.
You're bringing them around. So you can't, just because it doesn't work out with you two, you can't justify the relationship that's with other people. And this just happened to me. I went to a wedding this weekend where the groom got married to somebody, right? But the family is still very connected. I would say, I'm not going to say they like them better, because that's horrible, and I don't know who's listening. But I will say, well, I don't think it's horrible. I think it's human nature. But I don't know who's listening. But I will say that they definitely are very, they really love the ex. You know what I mean? So I think it's hard.
Yeah.
I think it's hard when you build those relationships over a few years at a time. You know, you're bringing your ex in, which was your boyfriend, girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
You're bringing them into Christmas, Thanksgiving, family reunions, birthdays, trips.
Yeah.
So I think in your case, it's probably because of you. She probably wants to like keep pictures of you, but does she have a relationship with any of your exes? Like, does she keep up with any of them?
So my mom openly, to answer a couple things here, my mom openly said to me yesterday, she calls one of my exes Satan, and so she's like, what'd you say?
She keeps a picture of him?
Yeah, and she goes, I don't know why I have pictures of Satan still. And I was like, well, delete them. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, when my mom said I have a picture of Satan, my head went, which one? So I was like, is it that girl or that girl? Because there's kind of two girls, you could say that. But, you know, so she has these, and does she have relationships? So my ex-wife, my mom was really close with her, considered her like a good friend or best friend or whatever.
You're married.
Yeah.
You had a wedding together. I mean, right. I can see that.
Right. But here's the thing. So I said to my mom, so after we broke up, I mean, what she did to me in many different ways was bad enough to break off our relationship. There was a lot of things that were happening, but the last thing that happened was cheating, and you can't talk yourself out of that for me. So, so for me, I was done. For my mom, she was like, I still want to talk to her. I want to sit down with her, or this or that. And she's like, I won't do it out of respect to you. But my mom would kind of like bring it up, like she was sad. I said, Mom, if you need her to let you down personally, like if her letting your son down isn't enough, but you need her to let you down, then go ahead and call her. And I guess within the last couple of years, she called her, she talked to her, and, you know, it was whatever. But then that was it. But then I have the other side of it, where the girl that I dated in on Long Island, I told you about this before, really close with her family. They didn't understand why she broke up with me. It made no sense to them. Her brother talked to me about it. Her mom talked to me about it. She talked to me about her dad and them talking about it. And her mom still follows like my social media. And I was really, really close with her mom that I've jokingly said that I would like, it would make sense for me, for my ex to like not be at the house and then show up at the house and it's movie night and like everybody's in matching pajamas and I'm sitting there with hot cocoa watching a movie with her family that she wasn't invited to. Like I fit in with her family more than she did. So
Same. I will tell you, I have an ex that was like that for a long time. That like his family was dead set that like I was the one that got away. You know, like in their mind, because that's sorry, my dog's barking, you guys.
Yeah.
She goes crazy sometimes. But yeah, that exactly is what happened to me. She the mother and the brothers. I mean, because the brothers were younger, they pretty much grew up with me being in the house. So it was like I was always the girl that kind of that was their memory was based on. So every other girl, I'm not saying that they didn't like the other girls he dated, this is 20 years ago. I'm not saying they didn't like those girls. I'm saying that I keep in touch like via social media, all those things with the whole family really. And I mean, I'm not saying they didn't like them. I'm just saying I think they liked me more.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I talked to her mom and she's like, Dan, she's like, I'm over here crying. She said, I've talked to my husband. We don't get it. If we could have handpicked a guy for her, it would have been you. Like her mom, I remember once she jokingly said to her mom, you love Dan more than me. And I came back to her parents' house one day and I walked into the house and I was behind my ex. Her mother full hand shoved her daughter out of the way to hug me. And she goes, did you just push me into the hallway? And she goes, well, yeah, you're in my way and Dan's here. And so like, I mean I dated a girl for a long time in college because I loved her family. And my dad's like, but you got to marry her. But I loved Puerto Rican family, my Hispanics, like that connection, to culture that I never had growing up. And just like 50 people in a backyard that could fit 13 people, dancing all the time, having a good time. Her dad didn't speak to anybody. And then I built a relationship with him where we would be sitting and talking and everybody's looking at me like, how did you get this rock to like speak? And she would come into the room sometimes and I'm like, can't you see I'm talking with your dad? Like your dad never talks. Let me just have this. So I can pinpoint probably those two relationships where I was so connected to the family that I didn't want to leave. But it brings me into another topic, Andrea. And that topic is I've always been the guy that like all the parents love. They don't worry about their daughter with me. They know I'm going to respect them. I believe in God. I look them in the eye. I shake their hand. They don't think their daughter's going to like end up impregnated by me or in a ditch somewhere. Like that was never the thing. So, or if she was impregnated, it would be because I married her and put a ring on her finger, whatever. So I encountered in my life, and the first time it happened, I think it was in college with a family in Blairstown, New Jersey? Wherever, or Blairstown, Pennsylvania. I don't even know where Blairstown is, but wherever that is. So, no, I think it was New Jersey. So, I had met this. So, I was dating the girl. I went back to see her, and I got invited to her house. And she wasn't that great to me, but I came in, and her mother did not look at, like, I was here. Her mother looked like this for like an hour. She did not regard me as a human being in the room. And when she finally started to address me, it was like just rapid questions. Like, what about this? What about that? What are your feelings on this? What's your religion? What do you think about politics? What do you think about? And it was all this heavy stuff. And I remember waking up in the morning. I had to sleep on an air mattress in the middle of the living room, not even on the same floor as my girlfriend and her sister. And the air mattress had a hole in it, so it would lose air during the night. I think I woke up in the morning of her looking down at me and going, And I was like, what could I have possibly done? I was sleeping. But that was my first experience of a mom who like hated my guts but didn't know me. And normally being the guy that like every mom and dad loved, I've experienced a few things as I've gotten older with parents that like it wasn't personal, but it felt personal because the first time I met them, they were just like outrageously mean. So I've seen the other end of the spectrum, is what I'm saying.
So I have two, not as an adult, but like middle school, high school. And listen, as a parent, I think that several subjects. First of all, as a parent now of a boy and a girl, I I think that I can understand a little bit better maybe a mother's protectiveness over her son. I think I see this.
Yeah.
Having said that, in middle school and high school, now remember, this is before like texting and all that. So you have to call the landline, you know? So I remember there was this guy or this boy that I ended up, I grew up with this kid, but I always had like a crush on him. We were like best friends, whatever. But apparently I think I called too much. We called each other too much because the mom was not feeling me. Okay. The sister was not feeling me. The mom was not feeling me either. And it was apparent when I called. And it's funny. So years later, our senior year of high school, this is so crazy. Our senior year of high school, a coach came in that wanted to turn our cheerleading team into a co-ed competitive team instead of just all girl or whatever. And so we needed to get some like athlete guys to join to lift the girls up. Well, this guy ended up becoming one. So the parents who probably thought I was dumb as a box of rocks growing up as like a cheerleader, you know what I mean? The parents ended up like traveling with us and all that. And it turned out that, at that stage in it, because we got to know everybody better, they were so much nicer to me as like more of like an adult-ish kid.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, it was very apparent his mother did not like me growing up. And it feels weird, but I've redeemed myself as an adult, you know what I mean? Because now I'm a crowd favorite.
Well,
and I have to say, what you said about the family? This is funny. I tell my husband now, I tell him all the time, like if we ever get into an argument, I'm like, I just want to remind you that 50% of the reason we got married is because I love your sister so much. I have like hands down the best sister-in-law on the planet. And it's like, I could not, it is the sister-in-law jackpot when I tell you that.
Yeah.
She's so fun. She's so cool. She's like an angel. Honestly, she is like an angel.
Well, I mean,
so
no,
it goes both ways.
No, it does, and I get it. So, I mean, to me, I totally understand both sides of the. Well, I shouldn't say I totally understand. I've experienced both sides of the spectrum. I will never understand like the mean family because like I'm so nice to everybody, and so like I think the last girl.
But maybe she had an ex. Maybe it was the same situation. Like maybe this girl had an ex that they really liked, and that when the new person came in, they were like, "Oh man,"
Well, it was funny because the one girl said to me, she goes, "Oh, my family has had, she's like, oh, I've had different exes, and they've been mean to some people, but they've never been this mean to anybody." And I was like, well, that's
there just was a vibe. They just didn't like the vibe or something. It's like you say you didn't take it personal, but maybe you should have taken it personal. But it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means like, it's the same thing as like like you walk into a room and you meet somebody, right? Like you meet a group of people, and for whatever reason you shake hands with somebody and you're like, I just don't feel like that person and I really connected, or like I can tell right off the bat if I'm going to be friends with somebody. So but maybe it was just like that kind of feeling.
No, her mom, I don't even know. Her mom, it was very hypocritical. It was a crazy night of just wacky. I mean, I guess I should share it without being so vague, but I went to their house. I had never met her parents before, and I found out over time that it was like a super overprotective would have been like a very kind understatement. They handled her like she's 30. I don't even know what she is, 35 now, but her family had like, and this was like within the last year, her family controlled her bank, like all her bank stuff, bank statements, her doctor's appointments were in her hometown. So she had to drive 4 hours to the doctor to go back there. Her parents made her doctor's appointments. They like would come pick her up and drive her back to their house, and they're in their like 70s, And
Let me tell you something. You dodged a bullet. Okay. Let me just tell you something. Be glad that lady was not mean to you or was mean to you, because you would not want to be in a relationship. First of all, it sounds like whether they controlled it or not, she was extremely dependent on them. I also know some other relationship like this right now, and it seems like the parents are just very involved in everything. It's like at some point you gotta be an adult and like live your life. I would never want to marry somebody like that or be with somebody like that, because I would not want their parents in our business.
well, and I told somebody this before. You have a bubble, right? You have a bubble in a
Right.
relationship, and in that bubble, there's you two. And if and it's not saying you can't talk to your family. It's not saying you can't. What I've learned in life is there's never, when you're dating someone, you're in a romantic relationship. There's nothing wrong with talking to your inner circle about things that maybe you don't understand or you're trying to learn. But you have to be
You
very
gotta vent to somebody. You gotta have somebody to talk to. You know, you can't just like go through life like holding it all in. So yeah, of course.
but you have to be very selective about the information that you share. It's not that you can't,
Especially with your family, because they don't.
nobody
Once you tell them
forgets.
something bad about a spouse or about a girlfriend, boyfriend,
They don't forget.
let me tell you something. They do not forget it. They do not forgive it either. Okay. The next day you could be forgiving it. You could be like, I'm feeling good now. I'm not mad at you anymore. Let's get back together. And let me tell you, I have this problem with my mother a lot, actually, when I was younger, especially with exes that I had.
Yeah.
We would break up, like, you know, whatever, like he would do something really mean to me. I would be crying. And then, but I really still wanted to be with him. I was young. Of course I did, you know. I'd want to get back together. And my mom, I mean, she was like full court press on like, no. And,
Yeah.
you know, we'd get into arguments, fights about it. It
Yeah.
was like I was having to, and I learned really young, like you do not tell your parents unless you're done with somebody,
Yeah.
you don't tell them about fights.
No, and the thing is, and I knew that, and I could sense that and vibe that.
Yeah.
I knew when I was dating someone and she told her parents, "Oh, we got into an argument," and I could feel the energy of that. So it's not that you can't talk to your inner circle about things. There's a few things about your bubble, and I want to describe this: the relationship bubble. I want people to understand it, hashtag it, use it with 2 mics, no filter. Tell us about your relationship bubble, and if you've popped yours already. The relationship bubble is you and that person that you're dating. As you talk about things in your relationship, depending on how selective you are and what you do, people that you talk to your relationship about, depending on who they are and their motives, some of those people might jump in the bubble. If they jump in the bubble, now the bubble's a little bit heavier. Think about it as a bubble that, like a little water bubble. So you put that bubble, people in there, you got 2 in and it's floating around. Now you got 3, now you got 4, now you got 7. That bubble's eventually going to pop, and that's the end of your relationship. I know for a fact that you watch who you tell, and this is the thing, and you and I know this in business and in personal life. If you tell only a few people some very important things, if it somehow comes back to you, then you know, okay, it's one of these 3 people I told. If you told 72 people, well, now you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to figure out who did it. But if I say, okay, you know what? Like when I went on a date recently, I told my dad and I told one of my friends. So they were the only 2 people that knew. And I told my mom the next day. The only 3 people that know. And those 3 people that know, if anything came out or anything was anything, they would know. And what I said to the girl on the date was, I said, please understand something. Oh, no, I said it to her after. I said, understand something. I will tell my family if I had a good time, but there are things that will always be sacred and kept between us, because that's how life should be. If you date someone or you are the person that tells somebody everything, point by point of what you did, understand, people you give information to think they have ownership of that information. They think they have a copyright to it, and they will continue to give you advice on your relationship that is unsolicited. Keep your bubble.
They will
very
use it
tight.
against you without knowing.
Keep
They
your
will use
bubble
it
tight.
against you.
Keep that relationship bubble tight. It's not that you can't talk to mom or dad. It's not that you can't talk to your friends, but it's
Right.
your sister or your brother. But that relationship bubble is you and them. And when you have that bubble and you let people in really important stuff, really specific stuff, you can talk about things. Just be selective, be purposeful, and understand that you, like Andrea said, you might be mad in the moment watch what you say, because if you get mad in the moment and you call up mom, that girl is dead to rights, or that guy, and that's what usually happens.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, like I said, I've been through it multiple times in my younger years, and I to this day, my mom still, and I can tell when I bring up somebody from the past, it's like, oh, I saw so and so doing, even friends, ex friends or whatever. I saw so and so doing this on their Facebook, and they look like they're doing really well, or their kid's so cute, or whatever. And to this day, like I can feel
Oh, yeah.
like it's like an energy, when you can feel. I don't know. It's an energy you can feel, and it's like the way she nods her head.
Yeah.
I can tell that she's not going to say anything mean in the moment, but she's definitely not buying it. You know what I mean? And I will say too, as a friend, my best friend dated a guy. I hated this guy. I mean, he was bad news bears. And listen, I was right, so it doesn't matter. I was right. He was bad news bears. However, when you're going through it, you don't want to hear that. You don't, whatever.
Yeah.
So to this day, she'll say to me something along the lines of like, she might say, yeah, I think he's doing okay, or I think he's doing better, or I'm sad for him because he doesn't have this, or I hope he's going to have that, whatever. And I see myself acting like my mother. I can feel the judgment. You know what I mean? Like that, it's I don't want to say it's an angry energy, but it feels like a really negative, older lady, mean, judgmental energy. And I'm like, I honestly want to slap myself and be like, please don't be this way with your children. But I have a feeling, you know what? When my daughter grows up and she's dating a guy who's crappy to her and like cheating on her, not only will I hop in the car and I will take her to go see if there was a car in somebody's driveway, because I will be that mom for sure. I'll be like Nancy Drew on the case. But also, when he does do her wrong, I'm not going to be able to forgive him. I'm going to be my mom 2.0.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think, and my mom, so I'm going to have dinner with my mom tonight. I know how my mom is. Like, I know for a fact that there's certain people that if I bring up to my mom tonight, I know that she'll go, "Oh, that weirdo." It never goes away. It never goes away. But so in the case, I don't know if I told you the case, but the last girl that I dated long term, like her parents were just, it was too much. Like so the girl who like they had the checkbook and they had all this stuff. The more I found out, the more terrifying it was. And I think now looking back on it, she played stupid with me when she got caught. Like, why does your mom get a text message when you buy a plane ticket? But it's because she played it off like, oh, I didn't know that. And now looking back on it, I'm like, she probably was like, oh, he found out that this is going on, and she probably played it off like, oh, I didn't know. But
Listen.
Go ahead. But long story short, and I'm gonna hit you with this. If you already think it was bad, I'm gonna hit you with this, Andrea. Okay? Because I didn't dodge a bullet. I played in the Matrix. So one night she was being really mean. She wasn't mean. She was super selfish. Like, she was a selfish person. If I go in the kitchen and I go and get something to eat, I'll be like, babe, do you want anything? You want something to drink? She would just go help herself to something, eat it next to you, and just look at you like, what? I was hungry. I'm always like, hey, and I mean, I would do it with a friend. I do it with anybody. Like, if you and I are in a studio and I go out of the room to grab something to drink, I'd be like, Andrea, you want anything? Do you need anything to eat?
How long did y'all date? Did y'all live together?
10 months. No, we didn't live together. So...
Okay. If you live together, that's one thing. But if you are just dating, for sure, you definitely should offer your guests something.
That's just how I do. I'm just like, what do you need?
That's normal.
The first time you and I met up and did our show in person, you brought like a grab bag of stuff. I mean, that's just... And now I know in my head, I'm like, the next time I see Andrea, I'll have something.
Well, that's my job, though. It's my full-time job to be a rep of a brand. So it's like, of course, I'm going to bring you drinks and stuff. That's what I do.
But you bring it to people that, I mean, let me feel a little bit special, Andrea. Because if somebody if somebody was a jerk, I'm not bringing them stuff. So anyway, so I go to her house and she's being rude. She gave me the silent treatment, which she had been doing, and I don't like that stuff. So I went to bed without her. I just got up and I went to bed. She had fallen asleep. I went to bed. She fell asleep on the couch. So I get up. So she comes into the room. Now her parents are like a step away, 2 steps away. She's in her childhood bedroom, like yelling at me. I was like, yo, you got to stop yelling, because no matter what I say, if your parents hear you yelling, going off of the theme we had today, they're going to think I'm wrong no matter what I say.
Right.
So
Right.
I was like, let's take care of this some other time. We'll talk about it, whatever. So we get up in the morning. I wake up. She's sitting on the bed. She's still pissed. I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you left me. Da, da, da. So I do my show in the morning. I go and take a shower. The whole room is the whole house is silent, and I can feel when I come upstairs something happen. So I come upstairs. I look in the kitchen. I see the back of my girlfriend's head. I see her mom, and I went, "Oh crap!" I walk into the bedroom. I'm like, I don't even want to come out because I could feel it cut like a knife.
Yeah.
Her mom leaves to get her hair done, and her mom can't leave to get her hair done. Her dad has to drive her because, you know, she's a queen. And so she goes to get her hair done, whatever. I said to my girlfriend, I packed my suitcase. I didn't have a car there. I was in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And I was like, I gotta leave, because this is like some Texas Chainsaw Massacre, weird family runs the whole town type of thing. I need to get out of here, go to the airport, which was an hour away, and get the hell out of Dodge, go to the Pittsburgh airport. So I packed my suitcase. I'm like saying I'm leaving. Her mom comes through the door. The room is like, boom, and I felt this energy come down.
Yeah.
She looks right at me and she goes, "So are you guys okay?" And I don't lie. So my girlfriend, she's like, "Yeah, we're great. It's wonderful." And she rubbed my arm, and I went like this to her. And then her mom is like, "What's going on?" Her mom changed her voice to this like just demonic type of voice. And then she followed us to the bedroom, and it talked like I wasn't even there. She's like, "Oh, you do not have my blessing, and this man is going to ruin your life. I've seen the future. Your dad and I had you on a leash as a child, and we're putting you back on that leash as an adult. You'll thank us for it down the road, because we're going to be right, and whether you love him or not, we're going to be right. Thank God you don't have kids with him. Thank God you're not married to him." Then they sat at the kitchen table, yelled at me for 2 hours, demanded to know why I got divorced, said all this stuff to me. And after all of it, the next day, her mom looked at me and she goes, "Honey, I hope you know we love you." I was like, I need to get the hell out of this place. So, like,
Wow.
that was the worst experience I've ever had. And that woman in 2 hours beat out my ex-wife's mother of 7.5 years, which I thought was damn near impossible. So
Yeah, you mentioned before that you guys didn't go visit the mom, like her family a lot because whatever.
yeah. We used to go all the time, but her mom got comfortable kind of throwing her weight around and jumping in that relationship bubble that it got really not great.
Well, the thing is too, when couples argue in front of people, it's uncomfortable for everybody around, right? So if you jump in and you jump on sides, whatever, it just becomes worse, no matter how you look at it, whether it's family, friends, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say earlier was when you were talking about like getting the text message about like booking the flight. It's funny you say this because we did have this topic also. The same with spouses. Like, this is why I don't do this like joint bank account stuff. I don't want any questions about what I spend. And my mom, we're sitting at dinner while we were away this weekend at this wedding, and we're sitting at dinner, and she's like, "Oh, my husband Mike just texted me and asked me, I just spent this much money at the hotel." And I'm like, this is why I don't do that stuff. I don't do joint anything. And I will tell you, when I said you dodged a bullet from this girl, you definitely dodged a bullet, because her parents would have been, the moment if you guys had stayed together and had not had this falling out and had children, got married, all that, let me tell you, they would have been so up in your business. Like, my parents, we're very close to my parents. We live 10 minutes from them. They help us out every single day with the kids, all that. But they do not. I have to literally, when I'm having a problem and I text my mom about it, she's like, "Oh boy." Like, that's her response. I'm like, "Mom, I need you to take my side here, like whatever." And like, they don't want to get involved in the drama of anything going on. So I just learned, like, don't go to them if you have problems, But these people would have been so up in your business. If you guys had a fight, got with the kids the way they were being raised, they would have been so up in it. So,
well, what I said
I'd be
to her,
at church on Sunday saying thank you.
No, this is the thing though. I said to my parents, I go, I don't know how to describe this, But if you went to their house and you saw how these people acted, you would have thought more so that they didn't have this child, but that they abducted her and put her in a cult as like a baby. Like that's how that house felt. But let's get back to the
Cut
important.
the cord, cut the cord.
So yeah. So and I did, thank God. Let's get to a very important. Let's go back to the subject that I started with. Should my mom delete the rogues gallery of my ex-girlfriends from her phone?
Again, I'm going to say this as a mother of a boy.
Yeah.
Okay. I do find, like, my son is 6. For listeners that don't know, I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old girl, a boy that's 6. And I do find that as he gets older, I am getting more and more protective and more like, don't grow up, like, love your mom and stay with me and like hug me, love me, like I feel like I'm becoming very clingy to him, which luckily he's still at an age he likes it, but I know very soon we're going to get to an age where he doesn't want to hold my hand, he doesn't want to do those things. So in your mom's defense, I would say it probably has so much more to do with you and just pictures of you at those ages of your life than it does her. But I would say if she has a good gallery of you at the same age that are singular photos, maybe she could cut her out.
Do you know?
Or maybe just keep the ones with her.
So this is what my mom said. I'm gonna put myself on blast, but I'm gonna defend myself because I don't think this is true. My mom said, She said, honey, you dated so many people within a 2-year period that I needed pictures of them so that I could remember who I was dealing with. And that was not true, I don't think. But after I got divorced, I guess I dated probably like 5 different people in the last 5 years. So like that's not a lot.
That's a lot. But listen, you're searching too. Like you're in a place where you're like coming off of a heartbreak and you're kind of, I don't think that that's uncommon for humans, boy or girl to do.
But I think mom should delete the photos. Now she doesn't need to remember their names now. She doesn't need to remember their faces. And she said it herself. She's like, I don't even like this person. Why are they in my phone? I'm like, Ma. But I had her phone because she asked me to do something with her email or something. And I don't know why something popped up or I saw something. And I go, Ma, what is this? And she goes, give me my phone. She's like, you don't get to delete my stuff. And I was like, Ma, why do you have pictures of these girls? But she did take down the wedding photo that when you walked into her living room, it's dead center. And she goes, what? I like the picture of your grandmother and she's since passed. I was like, Ma, then do what I do. Cut my ex-wife out and have grandma and I. But
I get that because, my wedding pictures have both of me and Josh's grandparents in them that have now passed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like these photos, like if anything would ever happen to us, I would feel the same way. And yes, I think in the center of the home, if she really wants to keep it, it's probably got to go somewhere else.
Yeah, like I think like Mom.
What do you bring a new girl over?
Well, that's my thing is I'm like, what I said to her yesterday was, Mom, will you at least get rid of the photo if I'm dating somebody that you're like, okay, I think he's going to marry this girl. And she's like, well, Daniel, the photo is no longer in. It's not like, I think she did take it down. She claimed she took it down, but yeah, no, on her phone, she has like all of these, like anytime I was on a date and I sent her like a picture of me with somebody, it's like she has people whose faces I have long since put out of my mind. And I'm going, Mom, what is this? And it's like, she's got
you clearly, and trust me, this does not surprise me from what you've told me already about deleting things. You clearly have like deleted, I'm sure, all the photos your mother has, you no longer have anywhere, correct?
No, yeah. Unless it's a mistake. But see, women.
Well, what about back in the day when it was like you didn't have everything on your phone? You actually like, printed photos.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
do you throw those out too?
But see, you
throw them away?
No, you said, listen, okay. You said something. I don't keep mindless information, is what I call it. But I kept my prom photo. I went with somebody and I had a great time. I mean, prom is different. If your mom has a picture of your prom, yeah, I mean, do I want to go in there and see a girl that I'm dating and I care about with any other guy? No. I'd probably make a joke like you said your husband makes. But at the same time, it was prom. And okay, if it's not like if it wasn't like a husband, whatever, then I'm like, whatever. Okay, it was prom. But when I go through and I see stuff, like I found some old albums at my dad's house the house I grew up in, and I'm like, why is this stuff even still here? And you totally forget about it. But my dad did something that was very interesting. My dad found a bunch of pictures. Now I draw. So I hand drew like this picture of Pluto. So I draw. Cool. And I have another picture of Pluto that I drew and I had in the house, and my dad framed it. And right when you walk in the house, it's like you walk in the front door of my childhood home, it's on the left wall. Next to that is another picture of Pluto that a girl who was slightly a little bit off, and I was in high school, I did not date her. And it was one of those girls, like I kissed her and I said, why am I kissing her? Because I'm not interested and I don't want her to think I'm interested. I need to get out of this house. My dad found the picture that she drew for me of Pluto, and I said to him, he goes, is this yours? I go, I don't think so. And then I was like, Dad, that came from a girl that was weird toward me. And he went like this. I like the picture. And he framed it and put it next to my picture of Pluto. So when you walk in the house, if anybody goes, oh, who drew these? It's like some random girl that was weird to my son and my son. And I'm like, Dad, why is it framed on the wall like it's your other kid? That to me was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. It's different. But again, if he really likes the picture, I mean, what's the difference? Hey, look,
I'll draw him another one. I'll draw him.
Yeah, but what's the difference? Yeah, but what's the difference of him like going to a store and just buying with a random like name? You know what I mean? Like go to Home Goods and buy the same darn thing. What's the difference? It's like some girl he doesn't know, so it's like an artist in it in his mind.
And yeah, an artist that was super. Then I should just buy my dad picture frames and tell him to keep the picture that came with the frame.
I mean, if that's what he wants to adorn his walls, then it's his home. You know, you don't get to choose what he puts on his walls of his home.
Yeah, but you don't get to choose what you put on the wall. But it's like the ex-girlfriends and that stuff. We take that down. But yes, I do throw.
So you said that like you don't want to think of like your girlfriend with anybody else or whatever. It's funny, Mike. So we were at the beach yesterday with another couple, and we were talking about the same thing. And when the two husbands get together, they're like ego guys. You know, they're the kind of guys you don't want to take to a bar because they probably are gonna like start something with somebody. You know, when these two personalities get together, they really feed off of each other. Yeah. And they both said the same thing. They were like, I don't want to know anything about anybody you dated. And my friend and I we're sitting there and we're like, her and I are the same. Like we're very different than I think, definitely different than what you tell me. Like I have not one ex that I'm not friendly with to this day. Hopeful that their life turns out great. Like things don't stay with me like that. Like I don't have it. And let me tell you, every single one of these people did me wrong. Yeah. It was never a mutual breakup. They cheated on me, left me, whatever. But I am just not like that. Like I don't hold grudges. I stay friendly with everybody. So like my husband will ask me a question about my past, for example, and God forbid I answer honestly, oh well, yeah, like it wasn't all bad. You know, we had these really 2 great years, and before we broke up, and we did this and this was fun. But then we broke up X, Y, and Z way. Well, let me tell you, it's like I'm in 8th grade and gave my phone number to somebody. I mean, it's like he can't. Yeah. He all of a sudden his mood changes. Yeah. He gets real jealous. I'm like, what is your? I mean. 25, 30 years ago, like this is the stuff that's bothering you.
Yeah.
We were married 10 years, people.
But okay. So do I want to, but here's the thing though, like when I feel like a woman's really interested in me and I get that vibe, if I bring up like an ex, I can feel her go from oh. Like I can feel her come down, and I like that. I don't want her to get excited about it. I like where she's like, I don't really want to hear it. Now, do I tell comedy about exes? Yeah, I do it all the time. So when I'm dating a girl early on, like the first time I say, hey, Netflix special, I'm on stage talking about exes. Are you going to break up with me or are you going to laugh?
Yeah.
So, because that's important to me, because I need to know that now. If you're going to break up with me, because one girl said to me, she goes, why does my mom and dad need to hear about your sexual escapades with women when you're standing on a stage? And I was like, it's funny. It's not that serious. She's like, yeah, but people for the rest of my life are going to know that. I'm like, but they're not talking about you. talking about something that
Well,
happened.
listen, that no. Let me say this.
Go.
That is what you would cross if you're dating an entertainer. Like you have to be a very secure person. Like same thing with what we do. I mean, we talk about relationships, we talk about our current relationships, past relationships, etc. Like if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody that's putting business out there, you need to be secure and you need to be supportive. And if you're not, then the relationship can't work because you cannot filter in your line of business. And even now that even now that we do this show, it's like I have to, and I've told you this before, there's certain things I have to be a little filtered on because of my life. But at the same time, there's other things that I'm very open about because I don't want to filter who I am. That's not going to make me relatable to people. People will not want to listen to you if you're not telling stories that are relatable and make sense. So, I think for any girl that
What's the name of the show?
start dating,
What's the name of the
Two
show?
Mics No Filter. Exactly. And this just is going forward for any girl you want to date with. They know what you do and they know that there's a part of your show or your comedy that we talk about relationships and stuff. They have to be comfortable with being the butt of the joke and also laughing with you in support and not against you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and the thing, thank you for that PSA.
You're going to be fighting all the time because you're constantly going to have to be defending why you put things out there. And that is uncomfortable when you're trying to record or do a show that is hoping to boost your career.
But I don't filter because the thing is, I am a man of my word. So if I say two mics, okay, if I'm going to call this show Two Mics No Filter, I can't filter because I can't be a liar in who I am because my brand is me. I am my brand. I don't consider us mutually exclusive. I am who I am on and off the air. My friends will tell you, they're like, oh, he says more off the air. And, like he'll expand on stuff, but he's telling you the truth on the air. I'm not lying on the air and telling the truth off the air or vice versa. And so I tell women this now because I've had girls say, I don't know if I want to date you because I don't ever want to show up in your comedy show. And my response to them is, unless you're planning on doing something outrageous, you're not going to make it. Like, when a girl says to me, I don't want to make the show, the first thing my head says is, what type of crazy lies under the surface of this woman that she thinks she's going to make the show based on the stuff that I've already talked to her about? I said, if I'm with a good person and she treats me right, because I had somebody say, I brought somebody on a date recently, and she said to me, she goes, oh my goodness. She goes, I hope I don't make it in. And I said, you've been sweet and kind to me. Like, what could I possibly, you know what I mean? The people in my comedy are people that have done things where everyone I've encountered, family, friend, total stranger, you and I talking about it on the show, everyone has had the same reaction. They went, you dodged a bullet. I think hearing you dodged a bullet is like a quote that I should wear a shirt that says I dodged a bullet because it's the quote that mom uses, dad uses, mentors.
Hey, that could be your Netflix special title. You dodged a bullet.
I got a Netflix special that has to do with Kenny Chesney that I think is funny. It's something about country music because I love country music, but there's certain things you can't do to country music. And so it's called You Can't Blank to Kenny Chesney. But I feel like I hope he has a sense of humor. Because it's not just, it's just country music has a certain beat to it. We could talk about it a different day. But anyways, yeah. So Two Mics No Filter was made to
if you
have
get married,
no filter. What?
Dan, if you get married,
yeah,
your wife, okay, your future wife,
yeah,
will have to be comfortable with you saying, think about how many comedy shows you see, like, my wife the other day, blah, blah, like whatever, start off, right? So when a woman says to you on a date, like, I hope I don't end up on your show, like, I think that it's flirty and quirky in a way. Depending, I'm not there, so I can't see how she's saying it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I necessarily take it as like, I think it's flirty and quirky and being silly and also insecure because she's like, God, I hope he doesn't make fun of me because maybe they don't quite understand exactly all the things that you're saying about, past craziness.
Yeah.
But in general, she would have to be really secure to, like I said, be the butt of the joke if it's something funny that happened that you have to elaborate on in a show.
See, my thing is, and I totally get that, and I said, I've had so many women give me comedy to talk about that now I want to date somebody who I can laugh with instead of somebody who I have to create jokes in order to deal with their drama, because there's that fork in the road. And it was a long time ago in college, and a woman had done some pretty vicious things to me that were very scary. And I sat at that fork at like 18, 19 years old, and I said, I can go in this direction of finding comedy and finding jokes within it and healing through laughter, or I can have this thing be a tidal wave and make me like not want to exist and be depressed all the time. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I chose to go in the happy route and not in the depressed route, because I've seen both roads, and they're not, the depressed one is not fun, and it's suffocating, and it's like a black hole. So when I tell people about my comedy, I say to them, you might hear sexual humor, you might hear, okay, a past relationship or this or that, you might hear my take on women in dating or men in dating. But the thing is, I give it back and forth. I talk about men in dating too. And because there's certain things that I think that men don't do right on a grand scale, and I find it to be important for me to do it right, to try and get us men back, at least some of us, on the right ship. So I talk about everything, and I tell people this all the time. Learn to laugh. If you go to a comedy show to get triggered, you're going to a comedy show to be a dick, and don't go to a comedy show. The word triggered should not be in the English language. People talk about real life, and the reason why I talk about all this stuff, be it sexual, be it whatever it is because someone in that crowd someday might be sitting there suicidal, depressed, thinking that the person that left them, they're never going to find better. And if I can make one person's life easier for making them laugh for an hour, then that to me is worth my entire life. So yeah, to the women that say, I hope it'll make it in the show, everybody hopes it'll make it in the show. But what I'll tell you is, stay tuned, because sometimes you make it in a cute and quirky way, and sometimes you make it in a PSA type of way.
For sure. Yes, definitely. It's entertainment. Anybody who would go to a comedy show in the first place who was easily triggered, like you said, should not go to a comedy show. They should go to movies, watch a drama or a thriller or whatever.
Go watch Real Housewives.
Hey.
I had to stick it. Listen, you're my exception to many rules, Andrea. You are an enigma.
Listen, I want to know if there's any listeners that watch The Real Housewives as religiously as I do. Yeah. Please enlighten Dan that it is quality television.
No, it's not.
And listen, I'm not just into Housewives. I'm deep into Vanderpump Rules. There's a big old scandal going on. Okay, I'm deep into it.
Oh my Lord! So
I am a Bravo-aholic. I am such a Bravo-aholic. They just announced BravoCon is going to be in Vegas in November, and I'm thinking about buying tickets.
Okay,
I also love Vegas, so I want to throw that out there.
I'm going to tell you this right now. This is my promise to you. Are you ready? This is live.
Yeah.
If you want to go to BravoCon, I will go with you and cover it for Two Mics No Filter.
You won't know the questions.
Oh, yes, I will. I watched enough of this. Trust due that my ex-wife had me on every Real Housewives. I know Vanderpump. I just saw Vanderpump Rules on a TV in passing a couple days ago, and I was like, I still remember Stassi. Like, I'm pointing out all these people going, oh my God, it never.
She's not even on it anymore, but let me tell you, they just won the MTV Music Awards. They just won like best group or something like that from one of those reality rewards last night or something, or awards last night.
I'm telling you right now, DT.
Dan, when are you going to get me some? When is your radio connections going to get me Taylor Swift tickets? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I think DT and Andrea tackle BravoCon. That to me, I'm telling you right now, people will want, because people know how like if you put on a reality show,
you know what it will be like,
and it
will be like if.
Go ahead.
If anybody saw this, please tell me. If anybody saw this, it will be like when Tom Sandoval from Vanderpump Rules, instead of doing an interview with Andy Cohen, his boss, goes and does an interview podcast with Howie Mandel and Howie Mandel's daughter. Howie Mandel's daughter knows the show. Like Howie's like, well, wait, who's this? Who's that? He knows nothing about the cast at all. He's like, I don't even know who that person is.
But
that's what it would be like.
But see, what people would tune in for is what people see me do when they sit on the couch with me anyways. I said this for years, there should be a camera on me watching reality TV so you get my comments. I can't watch The Bachelor without commentating. because
the dumbest show.
there's certain things. Would you say?
It's the dumbest show.
But the thing
I will
is,
never understand why women want to fight for one man. Like I will never get that.
I want to pull the guy aside and go, are you some type of a fool? Like, did you see what this, because now I know what crazy eyes look like. And
Oh, yeah.
I know what they look like now. And there's a lot of hot girls that have crazy eyes. And you have to know the difference between like eye and the bug eye. And I've learned over time. So I can't watch The Bachelor without commentating. And I feel like I should be the Bachelor. I literally said this past week. I should be the Bachelor's liaison, where I sit him down and he goes, hey, I really like Crystal. And then I slap him in the face and go, are you kidding me? And then I show him a clip and he's like, what? I'm like, she just compared herself to a volcano. Okay? Did you see what she said about your mom behind your back? Oh, well, she was just kidding. No, dude, stop. You like what she looks like in a bikini, and we're not here for that. We're here for love. If you want to find the bikini thing, then you got to go on whatever it's called, like Bachelor in Paradise. Where
Love Island? Yeah. Now I'd rather watch that.
But the thing is it's just like, it's literally like, hey, here's a
Or Exes in Paradise, like a show like Exes in Paradise, where like you go and you've got this guy you're hanging out with, and then like you're happy and you're on a beach in a bathing suit in Tulum or something cool, and then like your ex shows up, and then that's when the drama starts. Like that is a little bit more entertaining to me than 50 women fighting for one dude.
Let me hit you with this with any type of show with Exes in Paradise. Here's what's going to happen. Spoiler alert for every season. You're going to see your ex. You're going to feel that feeling inside of you, which is uncomfortableness, a pain in your heart. And at the same time, your heart's going to be pained. Other regions of you are going to feel better. Your heart's going to feel bad. And here's the two things that are going to happen in the show. You're going to have sex with them, and you're going to get in a screaming match where you're going to freak out and someone's going to think that someone's going to call the cops. Every time, every show, Exes in Paradise, there will be sex and violence. Those are the two things that you can expect to see. It's like a Die Hard movie.
It's like the first years of Jersey Shore. Yeah, and also like if you leave the show and you're back together, the odds are like 90% that you're definitely not going to be together much longer.
No, but you know what? Everybody wants to see Sammy and Ron together again.
Have you seen that she's back on the? Yeah, I got to tell you, the fact that she's back, because when that show first came out, I was living in South Florida and I was not married and all that stuff, so I was into it. But I obviously don't watch it now, really, or at all. But I gotta say, the fact that she's coming back for this season, I'm actually kind of interested to check it out. I'm like,
they gotta bring Ronnie back. You know that the producer's gonna be like,
well, he's back, but hopefully he's sober because he's had a lot of problems.
Ronnie passed Mike, and I didn't think that was possible.
He's had a lot of problems: violence, alcohol, drugs, a lot of issues over the years. It seems like.
No, he passed. I don't know. I hope they're all okay. Ronnie was saying that the door shut itself and locked itself because there was a sensor on the door. Ronnie's lost his mind. But we have a very special announcement to make, Andrea. So I'm going to Ryan Seacrest the heck out of this thing to the best of my ability. You and I, last year, I had reached out to you on social media, and whatever got into me that day, I was like, you know what? She's posting all this stuff. We met through Body Armor because I got to do some stuff. She was doing some stuff. And that's how I first saw your stuff. I think you liked something. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Reached out to you, did a show, had fun. Before I could say the words, Andrea said to me, I would love to do this again. And I said, well, I made my job easy because I was going to ask her to come back. Then I asked her to come back. And in the second or third episode of Two Mics No Filter, I knew something, but it was something I had in my mind all along. This show was never meant to be a segment. I put it on Wake Up Call to build it, to let you all see it. It's where sports meets life and get a feel for it. But I had every intention, whether Andrea knew this or not. I told her over and over again, I can hear this thing on Sirius XM. I can hear people waking up. It could be 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning waking up and wanting to hear what we thought about the Emmy Awards. What did you think about that? I got to hear Dan's take on Bravo. I got to hear Andrea's take on something that happened in a basketball game. I want to mix things up. I want to hear their thoughts on dating, relationships. We could do a show where people call all day and we just answer phone calls. I could see it way, way, way back. My dad said to me I would listen to this show whether or not my son was on it. We have heard that it's exciting. They enjoy it. It's important to them. They hang on every word. It's funny. It's truthful. It's to the point. It's real. So, ladies and gentlemen, the thing that I always had on my mind, the moment that I was talking with Andrea, and I tell people I always got something up my sleeve. 2 mics, no filter, will be ceremoniously growing up, leaving its segment on Wake Up Call to become its own standalone show in Dan Tortora Broadcast Media's total radio and video network. 2 mics, no filter will have its own home very soon. Miss Smith.
Yes, we're very excited about it too.
Yeah, how do you feel?
I was hoping you were going to play the sound effect of the applause. But,
I'm sorry. Let me.
We have one.
I do
We
have
have an
one.
applause sound effect. We should play it. I'm very excited about it. I told him yesterday when we talked about it. I said, like now that we've been going live so much instead of recording, it's harder for me to share the segments, and it'll be easier to get it out there for sure because some fun stuff we talk about. And I do think it's relatable. I think like when you take life experience and you share it, a lot of people have been through the same things we have.
Yeah, and I definitely, like I said, there's something with it, and everybody, and I'm telling you, I have coaches stop me. I have, it doesn't matter, man, woman, or child, doesn't matter the age. Everybody says the same thing. They're like, God, you guys just sound good together. I want to hear what you have to talk about with anything. They're like, we just want you to hear it talk about whatever. And so whatever we have done, the chemistry here in the show has been tangible to people. And so we're going to provide you with a 2 mics, no filter, on its own standalone show, the newest show joining the Dan Tortora Broadcast Media family. And there is nobody better for me to ask to co-host with me than Andrea Smith. So Andrea, I want to congratulate you and thank you, because 2 mics, no filter would not be what it is today if not for the 2 of us doing this together. And the people have spoken, and I'm happy that we get to bring our brand to its own broadcast.
Me too. And let this be the reminder of the power of social media when it does good things.
Yes.
Connects people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So chase your dreams, do the things you want to do. I had no idea that at 19 years old, Andrea had a dream of being on radio and doing some radio things. So here we are.
I worked in radio.
I
worked in radio early on.
And now that we're back here with an opportunity to do something special, I am spoiled to have you as a teammate. And 2 mics, no filter. The next time you see us, it'll be standalone. The logo's ready, and it'll be released today. And I'm excited. So pay attention to our social media. Thank you as always, Miss Andrea. And the next time I talk to you, 2 mics, no filter will have its own music. It'll have its logo, and we'll be ready.
Hopefully, let me leave you with this. Hopefully, it will be a Taylor Swift song of some sort. I can give you a list of things that might make sense for the brand if you need my assistance there. But that would be.
I would love
ideal.
To play it, and then Facebook and YouTube will mute it all because they're psychopaths when it comes to copyrights. So, but I would love to do it. But I'm sure we'll talk about Taylor Swift at some point in our travels.
For sure. Awesome. I'm excited.
All right. Well, with that being said, folks, we'll take a step aside on Wake Up Call, and Andrea will talk with you soon.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of this fan side of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin', Brendan Murphy and the wonderful Andrea Smith for Two Mics No Filter, which will be getting its own broadcast, which I'm so excited about that. You can search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. Simply look up Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So much appreciation and thanks to all the wonderful places that carry us. And of course, every Monday through Friday, you're with us on youtube.com and facebook.com, both / Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We want to thank all of our incredible partners and the wonderful people that are the people that say they are, that live by their word and connect with us in such a beautiful way. We have had such a great family of partners in the Central and Upstate New York community, and I celebrate them for their generosity, their belief in me, their kindness, all of the work that they do beyond simply selling things to us in the community, and the wonderful people they are. Floyd Little told me a long time ago that your word is an ever important thing, and I believe in that, and I thank those that have kept theirs. And now I want to give a special thanks to the wonderful exclusive multimedia marketing partnerships that we have.
Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It is fins up every single month on Wake Up Call as you get coverage of the Dolphins you won't find anywhere else the way that we do it here. AD and DT airing for you every first and third Wednesday of each month with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, for an exclusive update on realignment and reclassification as it pertains to Lemoyne. You could go right now to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt or the homepage of wakeupcalldt.com. You can also go to facebook.com/wakeupcalldt and pick up that broadcast with Bob Beretta on an update to realignment and reclassification. We have been the exclusive home now for almost a year of any information of realignment and reclassification from Lemoyne College, and we have been the first on the scene to all of it. You can go and check that content on the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com or by searching our content on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Every second and fourth Wednesday, we bring you the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, and future Dolphins. So make sure you check out all of that on our YouTube channel, as I said, on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and our Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com. Fins up as always, and God bless. Wake Up Call is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse. Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. We are so proud to work with them. Fantastic coaches and fantastic student athletes. We have the opportunity of telling their stories every single month on Wake Up Call throughout the year, sharing the stories that we have with student athletes and coaches in men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, and their inaugural season of their baseball team. It is my true privilege to bring those to you on the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, where our archive is updated and kept forever. And of course, throughout this partnership. And of course, you could go to the YouTube channel and search Bobcat Buzz on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com is what's popping. Once again, get out to Ma and Pa's. Half-price refills for the rest of your life when you buy any size of their tins. They have premium kettle corn now. My favorite is the Elvis, which I'll be putting on our social media, which is banana-flavored kettle corn with Reese's peanut butter drizzle all over it. It's like having a banana and peanut butter sandwich. It's fantastic and it's very addicting. So make sure you get out to Ma and Pa's today, 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, and go out and see them at all the fantastic events that they do with their trailers that go out to all the food truck shows. Big time thanks to Brendan Murphy for DT and Murphy, and a big time thanks to Andrea Smith for Two Mics No Filter. Two Mics No Filter has been a segment on Wake Up Call for many months now, and it will, for the first time ever, be growing up from being a segment on Wake Up Call to turning into its own show. And that's what I'm all about here. Growing something, giving it that sunlight, giving it that rain, letting it grow and build and become something special. My thoughts with Two Mics No Filter with Andrea Smith always were to make it its own show. And now that's going to happen. Dan Tortora Broadcast Media gets its newest show coming from one of its newest segments. Two Mics No Filter will be its own entity, separate from Wake Up Call, all under the umbrella of Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. So the next time you see Andrea and I, it will be officially for Two Mics No Filter, and we can't wait to see you there. And that's wonderful news opportunity that I got to share with you today. I'm so proud and so thankful to be able to do that. Thank you to everybody that watched all of our shows this past week. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the respect. Thank you for the appreciation and the kindness and the generosity of your heart. Thank you for your goodness. Thank you for your love, and thank you for your support. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call_DT. In the meantime, as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Be good, world, and take care. And it's never too late to pray. It's never too late to believe in God and to come say hello to your Maker. So be good to each other. Be good to yourself. And thank God you woke up